So, welcome to Jenna to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation. Jenna is based in the UK and she's a sales and marketing mentor, a business coach. I bought her one of her program. It's amazing. So I wanted her to be on here to bring her genius and wisdom to all of you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So, Jenna, tell us a little bit about how you started your business and what are you now really excited about? What are you working on?
Yeah, so I my background in corporate, I worked in marketing and ads agencies for over a decade. So I'm super strategic, like very masculine in that way. Love data, love numbers, love structure, as you'll probably know through watching More Views Than Vogue, my program. And so I did that for 10 years. And I've always been the sort of person where I always like school didn't really work for me. Being
Hmm.
told what to do didn't really work for me. Rules don't really work for me. And so I just couldn't, although I really liked the work and I really loved like getting stuck into a marketing brief, in like the agency world, I just wasn't thriving in the way that I
Hmm.
knew I should be. I was living in central London at the time and was just burnt out, exhausted, underpaid. And I always had like aspirations of becoming a life coach. I'd been watching the coaching industry, oh my God, from like Tony Robbins days. Like I remember
Hmm.
being really, really young and discovering Tony Robbins and being like, oh my God, like I think I want to be a motivational speaker. I think I want to like get out there and do it. But ironically, I never had the confidence. So then when COVID hit, I I was like, okay, well now's my chance. So I paid for my first coaching certification, which was like £3,500, which I couldn't even fathom that I had just spent like that much money. Like it just felt so ridiculous that I had just spent that. I couldn't believe it. And so I became a confidence coach for kind of the first like 2, 3 years of my journey, really um, because I just needed to give marketing a bit of a rest
Hmm.
after like such an intense corporate career. And so I did confidence coaching and very quickly became the UK's leading confidence coach. So
Wow.
working with women on releasing their limiting beliefs, I did events, I had a podcast, worked with hundreds of clients to help them release imposter syndrome through breath work and energetics and coaching. And I hated business coaches at that time. Like I could see so many business coaches who had absolutely no experience just being paid like thousands for coaching people. And I was like, that's ridiculous. I don't want to be part of that. And then my friend said to me, she was like, you really should be a business coach because, pulling all of that stuff together and your past experience, you'd be really good at it. And that's what the industry needs. So, yeah, that was probably about 4 years ago. And so it's been sales, marketing, business coaching since then. And it feels so full cycle with what I'm doing because, back in my agency days, I was doing a lot of like marketing journeys and customer journeys. And do you know what? That's exactly what I do on a day-to-day business,
Mhm.
like day to day with my clients and day to day with myself. And I love it. I absolutely love it. It is so much fun. I love this industry so much. So it's been an incredible 6 years, a really amazing 6 years.
Wow. Amazing. But I guess also you are able to merge the two talents you have with the, coaching, the confidence, the mindset, and the strategies.
I think it's so important because like I could give you a strategy to have a 100K launch and I know that it's worked because I've done it, I've tested it with different clients, but if you don't have that like multi six-figure mindset, like you will only make the amount of money that your nervous system can hold. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
so true. So that confidence piece is really, really important. I saw something yesterday actually where it was a really great quote where I said, stop catastrophizing normal business things. And it's so
Mm.
true. I think our mindset can really just run the show, especially if we're not in tune with that and keeping it in check. So it's really important to me not just to talk just about strategy, that like how you see yourself in the industry, how you see yourself, how you see your work, how you present on a sales call, it fucking matters, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't just show up with like half in, half out energy because nobody's going to sell your work for you. So that confidence piece and being really grounded in, yeah, I'm a fucking big deal and I fucking know what I'm talking about is so essential when building a multi six-figure business.
Yes, totally. And what are you more proud about so far in your journey in your business?
Hmm. Oh man, there's so many things. Like, there's been so many like big moments, which is cool. Like my first six-figure launch was amazing. Like
Mhm.
hosting, like I have hosted international retreats in Greece in like the most insane
Wow.
villas where you're like, oh my God, how have I like I've paid for this whole thing. This is crazy. But I think like when I think about like what I'm most proud of, it's really the life that I have created. The fact that I walked out of corporate 4 years ago and have never not paid myself, like the fact, like I still think like that is so cool. The fact that, like this morning, I just woke up, I had my breakfast, I just sat around for a bit, no rush. I don't start work till 10:30 in the morning ever. Like I'd never do calls before
You are like
10:30.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm not really a morning girl. I like to take my time. And the money is cool. The clients are amazing. Building something is epic. But for me, like the thing that I'm most proud about is the fact that I have truly just created a life that feels so free and so expansive and so exciting. Like genuinely, sometimes I like go to bed on a Sunday and I'm so excited to wake up because I genuinely love my job that much. I'm so excited to like dive in and go to a coffee shop and have an iced coffee and sit and do all of the things that I love. And I mean, like that's what I'm most proud about. Like you get highs, of course, of like making big money wins and signing clients, and I love that, right? I've been in sales my whole life, but for me, it's just being able to have the freedom to go to the gym when I want, to get 12,000 steps a day, to take 12 holidays a year. Like it's an amazing life, and that is what getting really good at business has
Yeah.
gifted me.
Wow. Yeah. It's so important because the business matters, of course, and we love the achievement, the success. But if you don't have a life that you also love,
Yeah.
why are you even doing it?
And I mean, I've been there, right? Like I have been there where I think like typically we go through different phases of our
Yeah.
business, right? Like, the saying of like what got you here won't get you there. And so, what got me to 100K wasn't the same. Like it gets you to 100K and then it breaks because you don't want to do it anymore, or you need more
Hmm.
freedom, or it doesn't excite you anymore, and then you have to switch and change it. And so, and it's if I was to be running the business how I am now in 5 years time, I would probably hate it because we
Yeah.
changed so much. And so I do think it's normal to go through periods where you're like, oh, um this feels hard, this feels
Mm.
great. But I think like back to your question, that's also something that I'm super proud of like that is the journey to getting to this place. Like there have been products that I have shut down. There have been, you know, big changes, brave changes that I've had to make in my business to get myself to this point. And so it's a normal part of the process to be in that constriction, being like, oh my God, I created this for freedom and now I'm working fucking
Yeah.
9 days a week instead of seven.
Yeah. And what what would you say about like the landscape right now on marketing and sales in the online space? Because we know I've been in the industry since 2018, and things have changed, constantly change. But lately, I'm seeing more and more people, really talking about how the entire online space and coaching industry is changing, is evolving. The marketing is not the same as it used to be. What are your, like, some people say we are in a trust, recession with clients. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I've had to dramatically shift my marketing in the last, definitely in the last even 6 months. It's really, really
Mm,
different. And the one thing that everybody I speak to says is, oh, but I've invested before and it didn't work. And so what you have to, when you're thinking about your business, you can't just put out the same marketing over and over and over
mm,
again and expect that to still return results. It won't. So even if I'm launching the same product, I always have an ear to the ground as to what are people saying. So if people are
mm,
saying I've invested it before and it didn't work, then in my content, I'm like, cool, I'm going to respond to that so that they know why that didn't work and why I've built, like my program's called the Sales Academy, why I built the Sales Academy in a different way. So for that, for
mm,
instance, I create content around the reason why it didn't work was because you just had a bunch of theory and no implementation. That's not how we build things here. And so yes, I do believe that we're in a trust recession, and I do believe that now more than ever you have to get really, really good at digital marketing. You can't just like chuck up a load of shit and hope that you can in sales anymore. Like you used to be able to back in like, like the heyday of like 2022, you used to be able to. But that is just not the case anymore. Attention is so reduced. Like you need to be signaling that you are an authority within the first 3 seconds, or they're gone. They're
mhm,
watching on, they're scrolling, like they're sending memes to their friends. So really, I'm always looking at performance. I'm always looking at numbers. I'm always looking at what content is landing. And so I like to think of all of my marketing more like an ecosystem
mm.
where am I signaling at least 5 or 6 times a week that I am an absolute authority in what I do and I have the experience?
I
That's,
love. Can I stop you there
yeah.
to go deeper? Like, if for someone who is listening, like, how would you suggest to do that? Because even in that arena, there has been a lot of like controversial information, like you have to be an authority and only speak to high level clients,
Yeah.
and don't speak pain points, because then you attract desperate people. Only speak to desire. Like, I think there is a lot of confusion.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's got really messy. So for me to signal authority, like I think maybe back like 24 to 12 months ago, authority was spending a shit ton of money on a photo shoot and
Mm,
have like almost creating like music videos to promote your work. That I actually think does the opposite now. Like I
mm,
actually think it looks tacky and a bit,
yeah.
this is my personal opinion. Like I think it looks tacky and I think it's more on show, like it's more on like tell don't show. So I always say to my clients, show don't tell. Don't tell people that you're an authority. Don't tell people that you're an expert, because imagine walking into a party and someone being like, I'm really smart. You'd be like, okay, right? So I think signal authority is actually really simple. Like if you are genuinely incredible at what you do, think about how can I show the behind the scenes of what I do. And so
Mm,
this was something that I added into my content about 8 weeks ago, where I actually got so fed up of people copying me. Like I would just post something and I would just see it all over my newsfeed, and I was like, oh my God. And then I thought, like, because I'm quite petty, I was like, what can I create where people would look at my feed and be like, oh, fuck, like, oh, damn, I can't copy that. I was like, right, I'm going to start reviewing accounts and showing my strategic brain. So
mm,
people can set, like, so people can copy the words, they can copy the captions, they can copy the images, but they're never going to be able to copy my strategic brain. And so for me, I started doing green screens, like cherry picking different people who I thought had really cool products and walking through why it works, why it's going viral, what we could do better next time. Like I did one on Amanda Frances, and
Yeah.
she went obviously on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and got trolled
Yes.
quite hard. So then I did one about if Amanda Francis paid me 20 grand to turn all of her trolls into clients, this is exactly what I would do. Right. So I always think about fun ways to do like that. Like, and you don't have to be a business coach for that. Like, actually start thinking about who, maybe it's celebrities, maybe it's brands. Like, how can you show the behind the scenes of what you are doing so people
Mm.
are seeing that and being like, oh my gosh, I wish I could book a session with her. I wish I could work with her. If you're a healer, for instance, I know you do healing with clients, even showing behind the scenes of what that process looks like, that can't be replicated and copied. So that's where people need to start thinking about their content now. And that is what makes you unique, different. It gives you your edge. And that is way more powerful than like a 10 grand photo shoot in a
Yeah.
car.
And that's the other thing you said, which is super interesting because you say show don't tell, and you also touch on like showing your behind the scene, your process, your methodology, which
Yeah.
is something we have been told for so long to not to do.
Yeah.
Be- because the clients don't are not interested in on that, which for me is a bunch of bullshit.
Hmm. I think like client like the way that when you kind of understand the psychology of sales, the way that people buy, we've got two different parts of our brain. So we've got the emotional side and the logical side. So when somebody is making a decision, they always start with the emotional side of the brain. Do I like this person? Do I trust them? Is this a vibe? Am I interested? So you want to satisfy those parts of the brain first.
Mm,
And if somebody is following you on Instagram, chances are they're seeing you on stories, the emotional side of the brain is satisfied. If the emotional side of the brain is satisfied and you are confident that you have done that, then they move on to more of the logical side. Am I going to get an ROI? Is this a good investment? Have people gone through this process before? And so that's when you can talk more to the nitty-gritty of your process, walking them through, what's included, that kind of stuff. And then once you satisfy the logical side of the brain, she's ready to make a decision, yes or no, as to
mm,
whether she wants to invest in you. So
mm,
I think typically people have turned off the logical, like selling to the logical side of the brain. But what happens there is you just have hundreds and hundreds of people that are sitting on the fence that really like you,
mm.
but there's no intention to move because they've still got unanswered questions that you're not delivering on in your content.
I love that. Thank you. And one thing I was telling you that I really loved about your product was when you explained the difference between sales content and visibility content.
Yeah, so I think people get so stuck with creating content because they're using the same metrics for every piece of content.
Mm,
Did it get views? Did it get follows? Did it get comments? And you want to be thinking more about your content as visibility content that goes viral and that is designed to reach thousands and thousands of people and to get thousands and thousands of people following you, and separately conversion content, sales content.
mm,
So your sales content is going to be way more niche, way closer to your brand. Like your sales content is about the transformation that she can have, but your visibility content is higher up on the funnel. So you're never going to be
mm.
getting the same engagement, likes, and follows on your conversion content. I mean, I was just telling you, like before we started recording, I made £26,000 last week, right? And if you were to look at the conversion content on my feed, I think the conversion content probably got 12 likes, probably no more
Yeah.
than 20. Whereas if I post a piece of content on trial reels to go viral and to grow my account, that will get hundreds and thousands of views, thousands of likes. They're very, very different. They have different metrics, right? So I'm
Mhm.
not, if I was to stack up my conversion content against and say, oh, well, it only reached 2,000 people, you're going to look at that as not successful, but it is really important to start thinking about your content as an ecosystem. So
Mm-hmm.
you're not just focusing on getting followers and getting views. Actually, your content system is doing both jobs.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And let's get into it. Like I'm doing your trial reels course, and I loved it, and I have already seen massive like growth. Let's talk about like trial reels and why they are so important right now to master.
So trial reels are, you can think of them like free ads. So a trial reel will go onto almost a separate algorithm on your in your Instagram. It's not posted to your main grid, and it is only shown to non-followers. So
Mm-hmm.
this is an absolutely huge gift that we have been given from Instagram, because essentially you can post 5 trial reels a day and you can be plugging your audience with non-followers for free. So
Mm.
before trial reels, you would have the only way that you would have been able to do that is to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds a month on ads. So trial reels are essentially like free ads. So it is so essential that everybody is using them properly so that you can start not just growing your following, but so that you can build the visibility across your platform. So you are reaching more people for free. You can still have ads, like I do trial reels and ads, but it means that because I'm so good at using trial reels, my ad spend has gone down
Mm.
because my account is flagged as green because it's getting millions and millions of views every single month. So you want to be creating a really healthy account, and trial reels are such an incredible way to do that.
Mm. And how do we make sure that we try, because with ads in a way we can select, have more control on the audience, who see, like how do we make sure that we are not just obsessing over virality and visibility, but actually being in front of the right people?
Yeah, so you've got to be selective about the types of hooks that you are using. For instance, there are certain topics that would always go viral, but that doesn't mean that you should be using them. For
Mm.
instance, if you were to talk about narcissistic abuse, if you were to put anything out about narcissistic abuse, it will always go viral. But
Ah.
I'm not going to put anything out about narcissistic abuse because it is so far away from what I am talking about. So I will choose topics that kind of like human truths that kind of sit within where my business sits, but I won't talk about my business. So I'll be talking about common challenges that my audience face, things like friendship grief. That is
Mm.
absolutely huge for female business owners, because what happens when you start a business, the people who you thought would be cheering for you the loudest don't give a fuck. They actually think you're pretty annoying and you're pretty cringe and you're pretty weird, right? So I've never met anyone who's in business who hasn't had lost a few friends from what she was
Yes.
doing. So that is something that I lean on a lot, talking about friendship grief, because that is huge for my audience. Things like guilt, motherhood, regret, nostalgia. These are all topics. So it's really about finding topics that fit and feel relevant for your ideal client, where when they follow you and they hit your bio and they hit your bio and your page are optimized for strangers, so that then the right people click through and think, oh, this is great, I'm going to follow her. And that's when you get the follow. And so, in the same way that if you were to put out like a radio ad, you're not going
Mm.
to reach 100% of ideal clients. That's not how mass cold marketing works. Similarly, when I was in the ads agency, I don't even think people do these anymore, but we used to do like door drops. So a door drop would be we would buy postcodes, and when we would send mail shots to like hundreds of thousands of households, and they were unlabeled because we didn't have address, we just had their postcode. And so
Mm.
were we hitting 100% of ideal clients? Absolutely not. But we were probably hitting 60% of ideal clients, which is amazing. So trial reels work in the same way. Not everybody is going to be perfect, but the way that you set it up so that your bio is really optimized and in a great place, the right people will follow you. And if you get a couple of like wrong followers, they'll just unfollow you after a couple of weeks.
Mm,
Content won't be relevant.
okay. Well, I love that. And like, because I've seen even here different perspective. People say, get in front of these strangers and give them, immediately a freebie or something. But you taught me that actually they don't give even a shit about getting your freebie at
Yeah.
first.
So this
So,
is kind of what you're talking about, the trust recession. Like even a free email address is harder than ever to get,
mm,
right? So where people go wrong is they try and put their visibility content too far down the funnel. So they're
mm,
talking about themselves, they're talking about their business. As you say, they don't a stranger doesn't give a shit. She doesn't give a shit about the nuance of your work. She doesn't give a shit about how many years you've done. Like she literally doesn't give a fuck. She just cares about herself. And so I never put a lead magnet on my viral content because
mm,
all I want her to do is follow me. That's it. That's it. I don't want her to do anything else. And so, because I know once she follows me, she's in the ecosystem. And then I've got the other pieces of content that will get her on my email list.
mm,
So I think about it that way because I don't want to sacrifice um, followers for leads because you're not going to get many leads by putting
mm,
your lead magnet on a top of funnel piece of content. And also, like, it's really important to keep your email list clean. So
That's a huge stuff. Yeah.
people who have gone really viral and have got hundreds of thousands of email addresses, what you'll probably find is their open rate is about 10%. And so your email list is one of your biggest assets as a business. If you don't have an email list, you don't have a business, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I need to make sure that the quality of my email list is high. So I need people to get a little bit warmer and a little bit more nurtured before they get on my email list. So I'm not risking that open rate.
Well, yeah, that's such a good point because yeah, email is that like you need to have an email list. Like you
Yeah,
ask if you are listening, you absolutely need to focus on growing your email list, but
definitely.
not from like random people that will never ever buy from you.
100%. 100%. It's really, really important.
And what about I know like your you have this format which is very cool that I saw you doing with Liane and another woman who had the $19 million launch, those
Yeah.
videos, those behind the scene. Like, but now, as you know, like probably there is all this a new trend about yapping and like, but not everyone for me is designed to do that.
Mm. I think as well, like what I have noticed is if everybody's doing the same thing, I'll go the other way. And I've always done that. I've never done trends in my business. You're never going to see me do like the Netflix trend or any like, because I just think I want to be seen as an industry leader, the industry leader that I am. And so how can I be seen as an industry leader if I'm just doing what everyone else is doing? And so I kind of stayed away from the Yap challenge. I think I did actually buy the Yap challenge because I was curious to hear about the psychology behind it. I haven't actually watched it yet, but I will at some point. But I think what a lot of people are doing is that they're like, oh, okay, this is the thing now. And if I just do this, then I'll create success. And so, but what that looks like from an outside point of view is you don't know what you're doing and you don't have conviction in what you're doing. And so I actually think you would get better results by just nailing down on one thing. Maybe it's talking to camera like I do, and it's something that you kind of master over time so it doesn't feel like a trend and you have your own way of doing it, which isn't the same format with the fluffy bike with the notebook, like so you find your own unique way of doing it, or just stick to your guns and keep doing what you're doing, right? Like
Mhm.
trends are kind of like waves, like they just come and go. Like the Yap challenge came in so fast and it's kind of gone out just as fast as well. And so with your content, you want to really be grounded in what you're doing so that you're not just jumping on shiny objects and completely throwing your content strategy out the window whenever somebody comes across, like someone new comes out with something exciting and shiny. Actually, if you go inwards, you could find your own unique
Mm.
shiny thing. And instead of becoming one of Jessie Jean's followers, you could just do your own version of it. Like you could do your own Yap challenge, which might be something completely different. And I hope it is, because that is what makes you stand out. Like that's always been my rule. If everyone's zigging, I'll zag. I'll go the other way.
Yeah, same, same. Because as you said, it's like if you want to be seen as a leader, as an authority, you have to find your own way of speaking, marketing, doing things. If not, I just wrote a post about this yesterday. Like you are just one in the sameness of everyone doing the fucking same things.
Yeah, I think it damages authority. I think maybe not consciously, but like the your brands, like not all of it is something that people can name and actually put words to. It's a feeling. So
Mm,
if people have seen you being consistent, using similar formats, similar vibes, and actually they've watched that evolution over years, instead of just all of a sudden you're yapping, and now all of a sudden you're doing car videos, now all of a sudden you're doing B-roll, like that's going to break trust, right?
mm,
Trust is really built on consistency over time. That doesn't mean that you can't take the Yap challenge and cherry pick the bits that you love and put it into your own format. Like you can absolutely do that, but don't chuck the whole strategy out the window just to jump on something new because it will damage your business.
mhm. And so we were talking before that also one of your magic sauce and specialty is selling to strangers.
Yes, love. So I think it's really, really important. I think what a lot of people think is a business is selling to people in their local
Audience.
home
Mm.
hometown, selling to people that have known them for like years and years and years, or selling to people that they have met at a networking event or on a podcast, like things like that. And so that is actually like such a risky way to build a business. If you are relying on referral based income, you are not in control of your financial pipeline. That what that means in practical steps, if you want to have a big cash injection, that isn't possible because you have not built something that you are in control of. You are solely reliant on people spreading the word for you. Now,
Mhm.
that doesn't feel comfortable for me. I want to be solely in control of my pipeline and solely in control of my business. And so that's why I have mastered the art of selling to strangers. So, what that looks like practically is I have my content system, I then have my sales funnel, and then I have my offer. And so I have refined this over and over again. So somebody could find me and within 24 hours be in my high ticket offer. And
Sure.
that is such a great way to manage your business because then you are in control of your income. Like I can make as much money from this business as I physically want to. It's just a case of how to what extent I want to turn the ads up. And so,
Mhm.
you know how I was talking about lifestyle in the beginning, that has allowed me to have the freedom to have 3 or 4 calls in my diary a week, sometimes not even that. Um, like my program, I only have three calls a month on that program. And so because I've now switched my income, so I'm not selling lots of things to lots of different people, it is simple, it's easy. I'm always looking at the same numbers, the same metrics, and that system is something that I've built in my business that I can hand over for someone else to manage. I can manage it myself. And so I'm really, really passionate about this is the way to build a business that gives you your life back.
Mm, I love it. That's so true. Because there is also a lot of, I work with a lot, more spiritual women in the healer,
Yeah.
and there is all this resistance towards funnels, like
I
or ads.
know. I can't understand it.
And I'm like, why?
The greatest thing ever. I get it. I think a lot of women feel fearful that they won't get it, that they're not techie. that they're not very good at marketing, but building a funnel is actually gets to be really, really simple. And if you are constantly telling yourself you're not good at something, you are never ever going to build a business that gives you your life back. You are always going to be hustling, hustling, worried about where the next sale is coming from. So it's really this, like it's a series of trade-offs, right? For me personally, if I don't know how to use something, I'll just sit down and I'll learn it. Or if I don't know how, like,
Mhm.
I'll just pay someone who can explain it to me, right? So because I'm not prepared to instead sit there not knowing where my next sale is coming from or worrying about how much money I'm going to make next month when it goes back down to zero. So there is so much nervousness about funnels, but actually, when you set up a funnel and you learn how to use it, actually, that is the most feminine thing that you can do in your
Yes.
business because it means that you can look after your body, you can get your 12,000 steps in, you can, get ready. Like, so I'm in the phase now where finally I can have dinner ready for my husband when he comes home. Like, that
Mm.
feels really good that I'm looking after him and I'm able to do that. And I'm not just constantly working in my business back to back to back, trying to close people in the DMs or close people on sales calls.
I love it. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Like I'm sold. And what would you say about like the DM sales, sales calls? Like
Mm.
how do you see now the sales system moving towards?
I think it really depends on your offer, how you like to sell. I think, like personally for me, I really enjoy sales calls, but it has to be the right type of sales
Mm.
call. So I'm not just going to open my calendar up for anyone. Like, if I'm on a sales call, I need to make sure that it's a good match before. So I'll have a questionnaire. And then if they're all good on the questionnaire, I love it. I love that sales call conversation. But that's not going to be for everyone. If people have like 4 kids or still working in corporate, for instance, I have the freedom to do that. A lot of other people don't. So I think like when choosing like a sales pathway in your business, you have to choose a pathway that works for your life and that
Mm.
feels good for you. So putting your ideal to paper, that doesn't mean that you're going to start making sales in that way from the start. In fact, you probably won't because it takes time.
Mm.
You've got to make sure that you understand your messaging, you understand how people are flowing through your funnel, where people are dropping off your funnel. And so, if you've got people dropping off after the masterclass and your masterclass isn't converting, I would then go deep and be like, right, okay, I'm going to work on that masterclass a little bit more, a little bit more. So, it's a bit like I kind of talk of it like it's a bit like being a plumber and you're
Mm.
looking at all of the different elements of your pathway or your pipes, and then you're fixing each individual bit. And then once you go
Mhm.
through that process enough times, then you're like, oh, okay, it's working, it's making money. Okay, how do we get that to make more money and more money and more money? And so then this is what I mean about you're actually building something in your business. You're building an engine in your business that's working without you having to be like, oh shit, I need to post on Instagram every day. So selling in the DMs, great. Selling on sales calls, great. Selling on a masterclass, great. You've just got to pick your flavor, put it down to paper, and then stick with it. Like
Mm.
don't keep changing things. Because if you keep changing things, it's very difficult to track the data. And if you can't track the data, you don't know what's working and what's not.
And that's another thing that a lot of female entrepreneurs, but even business coaches uh, ignore completely. Like
Yeah.
they don't know how to read the data. They don't read the data. It's like it's a bad word. Don't say it.
I know.
When in reality, it's so important.
You cannot scale a business if you don't know your numbers. You cannot scale a business if you don't know your KPIs. And so it always shocks me the amount of like business coaches, like sales coaches, marketing coaches out there that don't know how to read a spreadsheet. I'm like, oh shit. Like, oh my God, like it is so data feels scary, but
Mm.
you really, and it's never been easier because you've got ChatGPT. Like when I was
Yes.
working, 15 years ago in data, I would have to I had sheet on my computer of how to work out a percentage, how to work out an ROI. And I used to just have to sit there with my calculator and work it all out manually, which I'm so grateful for now because I can do data off the top of my head if like I like it. But now it's never been easier. So actually getting good with your numbers, getting good with your money, getting good with data is so powerful. Like, we need to be good at those things. We can't just outsource our wealth, our business growth to other people. We need to be protecting the money in our business bank.
That's a mistake I did,
Oh,
honestly,
same,
at the
same.
beginning. Like, I was so reluctant on the numbers, the data, that I was like, okay, I'm gonna outsource everything. And then I completely lost touch and control of my business and my numbers and my money.
Like 100%. Like so many people do. And to be honest, like when I first started, I was just paying everybody, doing all of the things, growing my team really, really big because that's what I thought I had to do. And actually being a great business owner is making sure that you've got a great margin, making sure that your business is making money. Like maybe in the first few years, it doesn't look like that because you are investing in skills and you are
Mhm.
learning how to do things and you are removing blockers, and that is absolutely fine if you are intentional and aware of that. Massive advocate for that. You don't get wealthy by accident. Like the wealthiest people out there are not wealthy by accident. They know their numbers. And really, I just have this mindset that I adopted right when I started my business. I had all these limiting beliefs. I'm not techie. I don't know how to do that. This is overwhelming. I don't know how to build a website. And very early, I realized that I have to rid myself of that mindset because I will never get
Mhm.
anything done. And so now I just repeat to myself, everything is figure outable. Like everything is figure outable. So I might not know how to, like at the moment, I'm looking at making some investments with some money that I've inherited. And so I'm looking at where to place that money. I don't know anything about stocks, shares. I don't know anything about that. However, I'm gonna fucking learn. Like, because I can figure anything out because I'm
I
smart.
have a client to teach that, so yeah.
Send them my way. Like that's the
Yes.
thing. I know that I'm smart and I can figure everything out. And the listeners to this podcast are exactly the same. Like you wouldn't have got this far in business if you weren't smart. So just stop telling yourself that you can't do something and actually just see that as a belief and ask if it's serving you because I can guarantee it's not.
Thank you, Jenna. So much wisdom, so much juiciness you shared. So
Pleasure.
how people can find you, work with you, know more about your world.
Yeah, come and join the party on Instagram. So you can find me at jennaokeefe.co. I'm also going to offer a discount code for my trial reels training, more views than vogue. So I will send you the link for the discount code. It's a nice juicy discount, and you can jump in using that code.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
So happy to have you and this conversation together because it's so key for if you are listening to really pay attention to everything she said because there is so much gold to extract.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.